Hello there and welcome to Breakfast All Day. How's it going? Good to see you. I'm Christy. That is Matt. That's Alonso. Finally today, by popular demand, we are catching up with Malignant, which is every bit as batshit crazy as you guys promised us it would be. It came out last week on HBO Max, and we're going to do it now. FYI, we're going to talk about it for a bit, and then toward the end of our review, we're going to spoil it because I figure you guys, if you've seen it, you know, I kind of got to talk about it. I want to understand it with my friends here. So just be warned, we're going to spoil it eventually. But it's
we'll give another warning before that happens.
Matt, what happens in Malignant?
Oh boy, what doesn't happen in Malignant? All right, so the movie kicks off with it's a mental hospital of 1993 or so. And there's a bunch of hubbub around a patient named Gabriel, and he's somehow the electricity's not working, and people are getting thrown across the room and possibly even killed. And then the lead doctor says, "We are going to excise this cancer." Cut to something a long time later, 30 years later. We now are meeting Madison, who is played by Annabelle Wallis. She's pregnant. She's arguing with her dipshit husband. She's worried about losing the baby. She lost 2 babies previously to miscarriages. Her husband gets really mad at her, pushes her against the wall. She bops her head. She falls asleep, or she gets knocked out. She wakes up, she goes back to sleep, and some shadowy figure has killed her husband. And as the movie continues, she starts having these dreams, and the dreams turn out to be actual murders. That's all I can tell you without spoiling the fuck out of this movie.
You can say it's a James Wan movie.
It's a James Wan movie.
It's James Wan's return to horror after making the Fast and Furious 7.
I found this movie to be a hoot. This movie is bonkers in the best possible way. Gabriel watched it with me. We had a great time. This is the kind of movie that absolutely does play better in a big theater because everybody's going to be yelling. But that being said, at least have some friends sit over and watch it with you because this is a party on screen and it's super fun. And look, like there's a lot of dumb stuff. There's some great style in it. There's a tracking shot of Annabelle Wallis in the house that's looking over through the ceilings.
Like it's a dollhouse and it's following her through all the rooms.
Terrific shot. I think the actors are pretty good in this. Zoe Bell shows up very briefly, almost unrecognizable. As does Patricia Velasquez in a blink and you'll miss it role at the very beginning. But yeah, I really like this. I thought this was a lot of fun and totally worth seeing.
Yeah, I'm not a horror guy, but if you're going to make me watch a horror movie, particularly a rather gory horror movie, I want it to be this. I want it to be this sense of like fun and unpredictability and just like all bets are off. People have talked about, is it campy or the dumb parts, or it's like James Wan knows exactly what he's doing. This was written by Ingrid Bisu and Akela Cooper. But whatever people might look at and think, it's excessive or it's ridiculous. Like he's doing it all on purpose. He's in on the bit. And even if it has moments that are nutty, he's working them in a way that are really effective and just make this movie really entertaining.
Wes Craven and Sam Raimi at their height had this really good balance that they could inject humor into their horror movies. Raimi went farther than Craven would, and I would say that James Wan, especially in this movie, is closer to Craven, but there's a sense of fun. There absolutely is.
Well, I think about a movie like Drag Me to Hell, right? Or I was like laughing and clapping and screaming all at once. This is that for me as well. I sat on the couch by myself at 2:00 in the afternoon, just screaming and laughing and wishing I were with you guys and wishing I were with people, because you need people to enjoy the communal energy of just the insanity of it. What is actually happening here is so insane. Although somebody wrote to me on Twitter like, I guessed it 10 minutes in. I'm like, good for you for guessing, because I did not, and I had a really good time.
Because when they say that, and then, based on the title and that line from the doctor, like, yeah, okay, I guess.
Sure. Or you could just give into it and like enjoy yourself and like not and be so fucking smart.
This is the only, this and Barb and Star are the two movies where it's like not just the idea of seeing them on the big screen, but that I wish I could have seen with an audience.
Yeah.
Because I think that would have really added a lot to it and made it a lot more fun. But even just me and Dave on the couch, we were having a blast.
And the thing is, like, even if you know what's going on at the beginning of this movie, even if you figure it out right off the bat, it's still such a wild ride.
Yeah.
Stick with
it's not twist dependent.
Right. This is not hinging upon that.
There's so much style. Matt, you mentioned that really cool overhead shot, but then also the shot where we finally find out what's going on is so exceptionally well executed too. Like the tension of it and the surprise of it. I want to mention a couple of performances. I really like George Young and Briana White as the detectives who are on the case.
So good.
Yeah.
Briana White is so funny in this. She is like the voice of reason. Her delivery is so smart and so deadpan and just perfectly timed every time.
That detective is having none of this.
No, it's hilarious.
It's like, oh.
I don't know if it's Maddie Hasson or Maddie Hassan. I don't know how to say her last name. Hasson. She's the sister who is also kind of helping figure out what's going on here. And she injects some fun into it, and she's totally in on what's happening. Everyone's so in on it. Like Annabelle Wallis, like has to scream so many times, and the screams just get increasingly over the top. Having said that, it is that fine line between being camp and being crazy, and also being like a legitimately tense and terrifying horror movie, and it does both very, very well.
Yeah, this is a really interesting case where you have a filmmaker who can write his own ticket, sort of between blockbusters. And so he goes to Warner Brothers after one Aquaman and before another Aquaman. It's like, I want to make this movie and you're going to give me this much money to do it. And you're not going to tell me a damn thing about how I spend it. And so like, he gets to do a movie that is this bananas for like, not a gigantic budget, but enough money to like make it work and bring it off. And so it's fun to see somebody use their freedom in a way that brings them to something that's just entertaining.
Okay.
So can we spoil now?
Well, let's do our scores really quick and then get into the spoilers.
Okay.
Right. I'm saying 8.
I said 8.
Yeah, I'm going up to an 8.
Okay, so our number's an 8. Malignant is playing on HBO Max. Now, if you've not seen it in theaters, if you've not seen it, you might want to stop now. And FYI, there's also a Patreon where we're going to do cool stuff. But we can spoil things now.
Yes.
Okay. So now, Christy, have you ever seen a movie called Basket Case?
I don't think I have.
Because they share a kind of a basic premise, which is it was the conjoined twin all along.
Right, it's Quado from Total Recall.
Gabriel is growing out of Madison's spine, and because they couldn't remove it without killing her, they basically managed to like put it to sleep. But it fed off the pregnancies, and then the abusive husband hit her against the wall, brought him back out.
I love how like they show the surgery and they show like they're just gonna tuck a little bit of it inside of her brain and just sew it up. It's gonna be okay.
We removed all that we could, and then hid the rest of him inside her skull.
And in retrospect, the whole title sequence shows you that. Looking back at the opening titles, it looks like a mishmash of like disgusting blood and like tissue and surgeries. It looks like it's just setting the mood, which it does in a creepy way very effectively. But then you realize he told you from the very beginning what is happening here.
That's the best sort of reveal where it's like it was in front of you all along.
That camera, that shot where you're looking at her head on as a girl in the hospital, and then it like pans around, and then he's like,
and they cut to the adoptive mother and the sister watching the VHS and like, oh, that's a great moment. There's a moment where Gabriel takes over her body, like dislocates her arms so that they'll go backwards, and like walking backwards manages to like kill everybody inside a police station. And
so Gabriel barely was born a ninja.
I turned to Dave and I said, Gabriel does everything Michael Myers does, but backward and in heels.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. When you begin to see that her skull is splitting and like the little bitty tiniest bit of his face is coming out, I'm like, come on out, Gabriel. Come on. And like by myself yelling at the television.
Oh, it's that kind of movie.
Yeah, I'm sitting next to my son named Gabriel the whole time. I'm like, Gabriel, what have you done?
Did he find it entertaining too?
He loved it. He loved it. We had such a good time watching this together because it's it's wildly over the top to the point. And since we spoiled this, I'll say this to the point when they go back and they find their birth mother who'd given them up for adoption.
Mm-hmm.
And she says to Gabriel, I'm sorry. I should have loved you more. I should have. Like,
it's kind of sweet. It's kind of
right.
sad.
But it's like,
maybe he wouldn't have turned out evil.
Maybe not.
And then I like the really creepy part about how they're doing like psychological tests and like cognitive tests on Gabriel, like where they're showing him a little card and she's saying apple, blue, or whatever it is. Like that's a trip, but like they tried to contain this. They tried to understand it. And then they realized, oh, he's going to be diabolical. We have to kill it.
Right. Somehow he's got superhuman strength when he's in charge.
I'm glad that Annabelle Wallis got to have fun like this.
Yeah.
She's
also in it. So good.
There's a couple moments where like that first chase scene or the chase scene when the detective is chasing Gabriel, there's that one scene where Gabriel like ducks into that hole in the wall. And it's like, why would he lie on his back to get in there? Right. There's that moment. I was like, that's weird.
Can I ask you guys a question? Because I want to make sure I understand this.
Okay.
Between like what Annabelle Wallis is physically in the room for and what she's just seeing.
Well, she's always physically in the room to commit the murders, but Gabriel is mentally making it look like she's an outside observer.
But there's a scene toward the end where the birth mom, is in the hospital bed, and there are two of them. There's a normal, not possessed Annabelle Wallis, and then there is the Annabelle Wallis with the Gabriel on her head.
Right.
Like they're both in the room, and I didn't understand that part.
I think all of that is a created POV. Like that's why you see Gabriel shoot the sister, but it turns out he didn't really shoot the sister. He's just pointing the gun because Madison has figured out how to do to Gabriel what Gabriel's been doing to her, which is to like take over the brain basically and make him see what she wants him to see.
So it's like an out of body experience. That
kind of
the separate Madison in the room
is
her consciousness.
Is as much of a visual as anything else as she's creating. Yeah.
Okay. I found that confusing. I'm like, how are they now separate from each other when we've determined that she's attached to
because it's not really happening.
Okay.
It's like how it's not a cake that's underneath her with the knife. It's the pregnant mother.
Right.
It's all mental manipulation.
Yeah, that effect was really cool where they make the walls like more and then all of a sudden she's elsewhere. That was a really like inventive and seamless way to get her from one place to another.
And if anybody wants to know the connection between this and Giallo movies, I really don't know Giallo very well, so I can't get into that.
The lurid lighting, perhaps, like the deep red. I guess there's like a Argento kind of influence in like the deep red. There's a whole chase that goes on like within the bowels of the hospital and the old Seattle.
Yes,
and like all the lights are red, and so maybe that's if you think about like the use of red in Suspiria, for example, like maybe that's
deep red.
What that's a reference to, just how garish and intense it is.
Well, and there's lots of like, and the blood flows freely.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Right.
This is not a movie where the camera discreetly turns away. This is like stab, 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 and you get all of it. You know?
Right. Every broken bone punctures the skin on its way out.
There's a lot of forearms splintering.
It's very violent. Yeah. That which culminates in that big bloodbath in the police station.
Yes.
Nick came home from school in the middle of it. He's like, what are you watching? I'm like, well, Nick, here's what it's about. I'm like, you're not going to tell anybody, are you? Here's what happens.
One of the best bits in the movie is when the forensic detective comes out, right? The forensic scientist, when all the other cops are dead and she picks up the phone and you see her dial 911. She's like, wait, why am I calling the cops?
I laughed at that too.
I was so glad they didn't kill her. Like they create her as this really sympathetic character, and I thought, oh no, but then she's the one survivor of that.
Anyway, thank you guys for telling us you wanted us to review it.
We appreciate it.
Because I was kind of like, oh, whatever. But then we got such an overwhelming demand for it that I'm so happy we watched it. So thank you.
For sure. So yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. Like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, check us out on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at BeFastAllDay. And our Patreon is patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. We're talking about Ted Lasso. We're talking about the brand new season of The Morning Show. And if you like these videos, would like to see the pesky ads, Patreon members get first crack at these videos and they run uninterrupted. So think of that as a nice special bonus for subscribers only. So maybe you should become one. Thanks for watching. Have a good week. Take care of yourselves and each other. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.